Friends, we are going to start today's discussion. As you are aware, the sutta we have been discussing is Sabbasava Sutta. It is translated as all the taints or all the defilements. We started the discussion last week and we were able to identify the importance of the discourse in many ways. Also, we talk about the first part of the discourse. If I give a summary to what we discussed last week and also to the whole discussion, that would be really beneficial for us. This is one of the discourse that many scholars refers to. If one wants to know what exactly we need to do in destroying defilements or taints or asava. It doesn't mean that the other discourses explain them well, but this is a very complete construction of whole teachings of the Buddha into a small discourse. So Buddha, as I said last week, tells the destruction of defilements or taints for those who already know and see the yoniso manasikara, the appropriate or wise attention, and also inappropriate and unwise attention. Let me tell it again from another way. Buddha explained the deep Dhamma for people who have already cleared their views about the life, about the mind and everything around. We said why? Because they have started their training very well and they could absorb the teaching of the Buddha into this level where they experience higher bliss and happiness. So whenever the Buddha talks about the destruction of asava or defilements or taints, he used to tell it to somebody who is wise, who is able to understand what it means. So, janato hang bhikkhave passato asvanam kayami no ajanato no apassato. That's in Pali, the Pali's phrase that the Buddha used. And we name the 7 types of ways that asavas are destroyed. It means that there are different types of defilements or taints or asava that one should understand and destroy using different methods. At the beginning of the discussion today, I would like to name these 7 ways or 7 types of taints or defilement. The first one, defilements given up by seeing. The defilements overcome by seeing. This seeing is not seeing through your eyes, but through wisdom. So by analyzing or by pondering and thinking not in a surface level, but in a deepest way. So your analytical, intellectual understanding is really important to do that. It does not mean that it is only intellectual understanding. It has some experience too, right? So the first one, defilements given up or overcome by seeing through wisdom. The second is defilements given up by restraint. So we have to restrain ourselves in order to give up certain type of defilements. No other ways we can do it except restraint. The third one, defilements given up by using. We can discuss what kind of using are there. So using, the way you use your belongings, your properties, anything you belong to is decided, is very important to destroy defilements. So there is a certain way for monks and nuns lay people, to use their belongings in order to destroy defilements, if they really want it. So that's the third type of defilement, the ways of destroying defilement. Fourth one, defilements given up by enduring. So you have to endure pain, sorrow, lamentation, certain things, physical and mental, to stop increasing defilement, or to decreasing defilement. So you have to do that. You have to endure. We'll see when we'll see what they are when we discuss that part. The fifth one, defilements given up by avoiding. So we have to avoid something to deal with some defilements. Then defilements given up by dispelling. So you should dispel certain things to give up some defilements. And the last one, the seventh one, is defilements given up by developing. There you see the meditation, bhavana. So through the way of bhavana, you can destroy some defilements. So I had a discussion with two people at the beginning of before the discussion, and I was telling them in a simple way that we have to understand the seventh ways, all the ways, to complete our destruction with the craving. Otherwise, we won't be able to attain full enlightenment. When we take these 7 methods, or the 7 type of defilement, the talks about the completion of the training into arhanship. So that's why this discourse is really, really important. Now we go to read the sutta from where we stopped last week. I think we didn't go to the second type of defilement last week. We stopped somewhere in the first. I think that's the discussion last week was enough with the first one. So we talk about so many things, and why yoniso manasikara and ayoniso manasikara, wise attention and unwise attention, and it is very important. It talks about the beginning of the training. It is really part of the samma ditthi, right understanding in the Noble Eightfold Path. It is really connecting to other important factors of the Noble Eightfold Path. So I told you that without wise attention, we cannot expect any progress in the teaching, because wisdom, or the wise attention, or the sammadhi, right understanding, is the forerunner for everything in the noble teaching and discipline. And we talk about how unarisen defilement come to arise, and when there is no wise attention, there are 1,000 opportunities for defilements to arise. And suppose that you have defilement in your mind already, so if there is no wise attention, it's going to be double, it's going to be triple, because no wise attention is there to fight the defilements. However, if one has wise attention developed at the right spot, there won't be any chance for defilements to remain and attack us, because wise attention is such a remedy to destroy any type of defilement, either in a temporary basis or in a long-term ways, without arising at them again. So wise attention is therefore is the root of the noble path. At the end of that section, Buddha explained something very interesting. I'm going to read that part.
Noble truths. You said 8 noble truths?
8 noble path.
Oh,
Sorry, it should be said as noble eightfold path.
yeah.
So when we say truth, it's 4.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Excuse me. In that section, Buddha said this. He means he is used in a general way. He means every one of us. He means every living being. He attends wisely. This is suffering. He attends wisely. This is the origin of suffering. He attends wisely. This is the cessation of suffering. He attends wisely. This is the way leading to the cessation of suffering. When he attends wisely in this way, 3 fetters are abandoned in him. What are the 3 fetters? Personality view, doubts, and adherence to rules and observances. These are called the 10 that should be abandoned by seeing. So, basically we talk about wise attention and unwise attention in seeing. In seeing through wisdom about your mind and body and so forth, the first quality you should have is wise attention. What kind of wise attention is there? He attained this is suffering. This is the origination or beginning of suffering. This is the cessation of suffering. This is the path leading to the cessation of suffering. That's how he thinks. Let me give you an example. Suppose you got a problem. So instead of blaming yourself or somebody else who is a part of it, you analyze that this is suffering. Nobody is blamed here, but this is the nature of life. Since I am a human being, I have to experience this once a while, and so you somehow manage to see that it is a natural thing in life. Having problems, having born to this life, you cannot avoid some problems, right? So you see that it is a fundamental suffering in your life that you could not avoid. Suppose I could avoid this today, but it comes again someday. So there is no end, there is no escape from some suffering in our life, right? So you analyze that it is the truth of suffering. And then you see the causes of suffering. The causes or condition could be made by somebody else without any understanding, without any kindness and compassion, or you yourself unknowingly created the causes and conditions. It's fine, but you see the causes and conditions. No matter who made it, no matter it occurred naturally, you see the causes and conditions of the problem. So you see the suffering as it is, experience it as it is, and you now clearly see the causes and conditions. Now your effort is to get out of it. It is a requirement. Nobody would like to stay in suffering. Nobody would like to be painful. Everybody wants living out of suffering. So that's a requirement, that's a need. Then you think that how I'm going to overcome this suffering, how I'm going to stop this suffering coming in again. So then you find the ways. Okay, I behave like this, then there won't be that suffering. I talk like this, I do this way, and so on. You find methods one after the other and apply genuinely to overcome suffering. So what you have done here is applying the 4 noble truths in solving a problem. It is wise attention. It is seeing through wisdom to abandon some defilements. So we can do that to many of our problems. Analyze, think, take your time. Even though you get the solutions a little bit later, take time and think about ways of getting out of suffering. Perhaps you are in happiness. You could do that for somebody else as well, just like the Buddha did. So Buddha did it himself, and throughout his 45 years, he did so many things for others. He made so many models, examples for others escape from suffering. Sometimes you don't have any problem, but you see the suffering of others and you see the causes of suffering of somebody else suffering, and you let them understand that there is a way out of suffering, and this is the way you should do that. So we can do it for ourselves as well as others. So this is wise attention. So in order to destroy defilements or taint, the first way is to seeing things as they are. See things as they are. So that's what we discuss in the first section. Since we want to finish this discourse today, I speed up the discussion. And don't worry that about asking questions. You can ask any questions, any type of questions, basically related to the discourse at any point of this class. You don't need to wait and hear what I said all the time. So tends to be abandoned by restraining, or defilements to be given up by restraining. Let's see what they are. Bhikkhus, what defilement should be abandoned or given up by restraining? Here, a bhikkhu, reflecting wisely, abide with the eye faculty restrained, while taints, vexation and fever might arise in one who abides with the eye faculty unrestrained. There are no taints, vexation for fever in one who abides with the eye faculty restrained. So what does that mean from your understanding? So what we have to restrain our 6 senses: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body and mind. So when our senses meet with their respective objects, we have to be mindful about what we are seeing, what we are hearing, what we are tasting, what we are smelling, what we are touching and thinking. So having done that, live restraining faculty of the eye for the distressing and feverish defilement that might arise in some who lives without restraint of the eye faculty. So if when you see something not positive from a spiritual sense, you may think that if I do not restrain myself with this thing from eyes, I would be definitely in sensual pleasure, definitely in anger. I would experience frustration, suffering and so forth. If I were not put my whole effort to shield my mind from these negative things, I would definitely be in anger, frustration, craving and so forth. You would see ahead of time, ahead of something occurs, the results, the negative results of something. Suppose you are going to have a conversation with somebody who is difficult, you ahead of meeting, you think that this person is such a person. He might be angry if I say this. If I say this way and so on. You might think of so many ways of decreasing the opportunity for a fight. Right? That's your restraint from mind. And whenever you see something, if that affects to your mind, you would definitely take some measures not to see them or not to see those things, or even if you could not avoid meeting people and things that defile you, you would find another way to protect your mind. So that's called rest training. So you are mindful about your senses and things could create through senses. That's called rest training. So by doing that, we can avoid lot of defilements, right? We don't need to discuss each and everything in details about this fact, because we know how our senses works, right? Since that these six senses create everything for us. Suppose visiting Parliament Hill, right? We all have been there, not only once, many times perhaps. So that example, going to Parliament Hill and visiting Parliament Hill, has done by six senses. We see the Parliament Hill in and out through our eyes. We heard the details when it began and how it was built and when it was burned down and what they do in the Parliament Hill and this section. So from ears. And we touch all these painting, building and so forth. And I don't know whether we have a special smell there, but if there is bad smell, we feel that as well. If there's a good smell, we feel that. And we never, leak the Parliament Hill building just to taste from our eyes, from our tongue. But isn't that the six senses made this experience for us? Suppose we all go to China or Hong Kong. So we see people fight and burn down tires these days. I got the news that they have been having a huge protest. So even without going to Hong Kong, how do we see that? How do we experience that fight? All these problems, either by seeing pictures or hearing news and listening to news and so on. Let's think about a party we recently went, right? Now you use your mind and mental images in your mind to think about it. But the overall party is there in you now because of the senses. If you analyze each and every single incident in your life from the birth, from where you remember, from where you could recall, everything is created by six senses. So how about if we restrain six senses? I think that Nibbana is visible and possible and doable. Because Nibbana is covered by the way we understand six senses. If we have wise attention, the first one we talked about, Yoniso Manasikara, about six senses, we are going to stop creating new defilements. We cannot do, of course, there would be defilement we created before, but we could stop new defilements. When we stop new defilements, mind is going to slowly empty from defilements. It's just like a tank that has huge volume of water. If you stop incoming water, what happened? The water is evaporated and no new water is coming. Perhaps you once a while take some huge volume water from the tank. At some point of time, the tank would be empty. So our mind is just like a tank. Of course, we usually give a simile to a defiled mind is just like a garbage bin, right? I think garbage bin is better than the defiled mind. So if we keep all the garbage out of our mind, what happened as a result? Mind becomes pure. Right? I remember a beautiful example given by some monks and lay people about the beautiful mind. It's coming from basically Mahayan tradition. So mind is just like a pond which has muddy, smelly water, and the color of the water is also very bad. It's not nice to see that type of water, and a lot of plastics and paper bags. What else? So many things are there. So you are given this job by somebody to clean the pond. So you slowly mindfully take plastic out and the paper bags out and the tires and tins and everything out, and you remove the weeds out, and now you should do something with the water. You take the water out. It's a huge task. You cannot do within one hour, one day, 1 week, 1 month. Maybe it takes years. So then now you stop. You clean whole water, and you put stones around, and also bricks around, and make it's beautiful. And then you let the water come in, pure water, and you at the same time, at some point of cleaning, you put lotus seed, and after some time, the water is beautiful and blue color and smelly, and everybody appreciate, and you have a water flower. So this is a simile given to show how one cleans his or her mind by the way of sila, morality, and samadhi, concentration and wisdom. It's a gradual training, and at the end you empty your mind from defilements, like you empty the pond with all these bad smelly things, and you plant lotus, and at the end you have a lotus flower. It's just like you have compassion and kindness, wisdom, and you become so beautiful yourself and also for other people. So we are talking about restraining. Yes.
Yeah, I read 2 articles on this sutta.
How nice it is.
And both articles didn't talk about 6 senses. They talk about 5 senses.
Yeah.
Mind was not mentioned.
From our Dhamma knowledge, in my view, we have to understand mind is there, because when we talk about restraint, sila, we basically mean the
5 senses.
The 5 senses. Why? Because we expect the ethical behavior from our mind, words and action.
Yeah.
But words and actions are not there if the mind is, malfunctioned. So mind is the.
But did Lord Buddha talk about the mind?
Oh yes, that's the 6th sense.
Yeah, but then why is it not mentioned in this article?
It's implied there. It's implied. How the eye sees pictures, things around without the participation of consciousness. Eye consciousness should be there to identify the pictures. That's why the dead. That's why the dead man, that dead person, cannot say anything and feel anything. Even if you open his eyes like this, you could see the eyeball, the white and black, all these things. But the dead body doesn't say us that I see you And if a dead body do that, we will run away, definitely. It's not there. The I consciousness is not there. So I consciousness is a part of our mind. So eyes alone cannot see pictures. Nose alone cannot smell. Tongue alone and ears and all this skin cannot do anything without the participation of mind. So through analytical understanding, we have to understand that mind should be restrained. Of course, what happened to us when we see pictures is these eyes do all kind of attachment part and detachment part? No, it's our mind decide everything. Right? Very good question. So restraining senses is key to defile certain type of to destroy certain type of defilement. What exactly said here? When you see pictures, when you see people, when you see colors, things, shapes, animals, and all kind of things, we have to have that understanding that I should restrain my eyes, I should restrain my ears, and so forth. It doesn't mean that you could close your eyes when you see bad things. It doesn't mean that you cover your ears like this when you hear negative things. You cannot do that, because eyes, ears, nose, tongue, the whole body are to do their duties and responsibilities of this human body. Let them do that. But the mind, when it seeks restraint, has to do the important part. Okay, this is not good. This is not positive for my mental well-being. This is only good or positive for my well-being. That is the wisdom part activating there. So that's called restraint. By doing that, we have to overcome so many defilements. What kind of defilements? Perhaps you could not name a specific defilement, but through your own experience, you could say, we can avoid this and that. Can somebody tell something? If you really restrain your senses, which way and how we could stop some defilements, or we could destroy some defilement? Any contribution?
Like sensual.
Yeah, of course. We might like some people and something when we go to shopping malls and restaurants and marketplace and cinema and musical show and so many things. So if you have understanding, you won't be indulge in sensual pleasures, because you clearly see how dangerous these things for my mental peace. That's how we have to decide what type of gathering, what type of trips, what type of people, what type of things I should associate in terms of protecting my mental peace. Right? That understanding should slowly be there when you practice this Dhamma. That's why Buddha said, Pacchattam veditabbo vinyohiti. Dhamma should be realized as the way people develop their practice or wisdom. We cannot pinpoint that you should be here, you should have this level of understanding, you shouldn't have this and so forth. It's up to people to decide what their mental peace and what they should do for protecting that mental peace. Yeah, what you said is really right. So basically understand that there are defilements that should be given up or abandoned or overcome by seeing through wisdom, and there are defilements that should be abandoned by restraining senses. Now we go to next one, third one. Tends to be abandoned by using. So this is a very important part, that this is really doable, not only by monks, but you as well. What taints or defilement monks should be abandoned by using? Here, a bhikkhu, reflecting wisely, used the robe only for protecting himself from cold, for protection from heat, contact with get flies, mosquitoes, wind, the sun, the creeping things, and only for the purpose of concealing the private parts. So why do I wear a robe? It is for all these purposes I read here. So why do we wear those clothes? For the same purpose. But do people wear clothes for these purposes? No, they use clothes for pride. They use clothes for showing up. They use clothes for different purposes. As people have different purposes of using clothes, don't they fight? Don't they become unhappy? Don't they decide that my husband is not treating me well, my wife is not treating me well? Because of clothes, because of garments, because of anything you cover your body, people do so many bad things, negative things. I remember similarly in a discourse that a lady is renting, I would say, it's a friendly sharing of women costume, because this lady wants to go to a party and she doesn't have beautiful clothes and garland and everything. So she has one of her friends who has all these things, and she said, okay, give those things to me, I have a party. And this lady, when she was in a party, led others to think that all these things belongs to her. Right? The friend who gave all these clothes and ornaments was unaware that my friend who took all these things, go to the same party, and she saw her friend having come and telling all these beautiful things about her own jewelries and costume and so on. So this is actually a simile given to show how abhijja, intense greed, is working. Intense greed, abhijja, is about desiring or craving for something you do not belong. So that lady who got these friends ornaments and jewelries and clothes, wanted to show others that she owned all these things. Right? If that lady, I'm sorry for taking a lady into examples, this happens to even men and even monks if they do not have the proper understanding. So according to the story, that if that lady uses clothes only for these purposes, did she experience any sort of problems, embarrassment in front of people? No. So we can cut off so many problems if we are to accept the middle path in using clothes. What is the middle path here? I use the clothes for protecting my body from cold, heat, and get flies, mosquitoes, wind, the sun, and creeping things. When you go into forest, you cover your body because of mosquitoes and all these plants and so forth, poison ivy and ticks and so on. So you use the clothes just for that purpose. How about if we wear clothes for cultural aspect and on the national day? It's fine, it's innocent in my view, because you are still in the culture. So it's okay for you to wear that type of costume, but very purpose you wear clothes if you really need to stay on the noble Dhamma and discipline is for these purposes. Try your best to do that. But I don't suggest that you just wear anything you come across for a wedding and people will, criticize you. Because Buddha slowly invite us to develop wise attention first. When you have wise attention, you know what to do. Find the moderation in everything, So you wear this clothes just because I am presentable when I wear this, and I just want others to be happy when I see this. So we can use the clothes for that purpose as well. But who decide that you have conceit when you wear different type of clothes? Not somebody else, but you. You better know what exactly my purposes of wearing these clothes and using clothes. Now, if I wear this robe, just because I would be very nice and people will recognize me, even if I in an assembly of monks for 100 and 1,000, so I would be definitely out of the discipline. So many defilements come as a result of that. So I develop sensual pleasure there, conceit, man, arrogance, and selfishness. If we let our mind to experience one type of defilements, there would be other defilements behind that as well. So we need to be careful. Let me read the other part of the section. Reflecting wisely, he uses alms food, neither for amusement, nor for intoxication, nor for the sake of physical beauty and attractiveness, but only for the endurance and continuance of this body, for ending discomfort, and for assisting the holy life, considering thus I shall terminate all feelings without arousing new feelings, and I shall be healthy and blameless and shall live in comfort. See the purpose of taking food. If we are to eat our meals with this purpose, do we complain hereafter about the taste, about the amount of food? Of course, we should take the real amount of food to survive. But a lot of people, I heard that some people fly from one country to the other to eat one meal. My goodness. Just because they have enough money, I think. But it's not the fact that we consider. They become slave of taste. How many people are there in the world who do not have a single meal, full meal? But from their point of view, we have enough money, we have huge money, wealth. How can we go to that part of the world and feed everyone? Of course, it's a justifiable reason. But from the Dhamma point of view, they may be satisfying the thirsty of craving by doing that. Why can't they send that money for the tickets and the huge amount of money for one meal to a needy person through online? And of course, they may be doing that into a certain extent, but if we cannot justify that kind of activities. So Buddha asked monks here, according to the context, to eat food just for living as a monk in the noble teaching. You are not taking food just to beautify your body, just to increase your muscles, going to gym and eating special type of food is not matching with this statement, and it is completely irrelevant with the discipline as said in the discourse. But you may have a question. Then how could we become healthy? Is doing exercise negative according to Buddha's teaching? And how about selecting different type of food items? Become vegetarian, vegans? Are they not right and according to the Dhamma? It should be another discussion to discuss everything, but simply we take food, we wear clothes just for survival. That's the minimum. Why this should be done? Because lot of problems in individual levels, social level, arise due to craving for clothes, craving for food. Why do you? A lot of people do jobs just because of these two purposes. There should be another one or two, like having a house and owning a car, and also being a reputed person, renowned person. See, these are some of the other expectations of human life. So people have handful of goals in their life: food, shelter, protection, love, and so forth. So if we have objectives that I eat for survival, I wear to cover my body, to be a better person, to show I'm a very ethical person, and then if I go to the other part that this section mentioned, that shows very well that you follow this noble Dhamma and discipline just to minimize the defilements. I remember some people fight, at least fight start from lack of cooking well, and some start accusation that my wife, my husband cannot cook well, but next door woman cook well, so how wonderful if I have a wife or husband like that. So your finger is turning around. Oh.
My wife tells me all the time that I am the only person who doesn't know how to barbecue.
Really?
The only man who doesn't know how to barbecue.
It's easy. Cut some vegetables and
I
things.
don't do this barbecuing.
I mean,
He still has a lot to learn.
yeah.
No, whatever she gives, I eat. I don't ask for barbecue. Whatever she
You
gives,
have
I eat.
you have restraint then. You are restrained enough to accept anything.
By somebody else.
Oh, it's fine.
When
You
she
know.
gives and she asks me, is it good? I said, yes, very good.
Wow.
I never say bad. But then I won't get food.
So you stop some sort of problems there. I know some close people to me, and they wear whatever their wives need. Right?
Yeah.
They just open the closet and ask sweetheart or whatever, honey or whatever. I have heard these things. So what do you like me to wear today? Okay, take that one. So I have seen, I heard, because I have been visited them couple of times before they got ready to go somewhere, and they themselves wore costume, and blame start coming. oh, this is not appropriate for this place, so change it. So that type of argument and things could be stopped if you let your better partner decide what you wear.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's not very pure too, because you have a desire to satisfy your wife or husband. That's why you let that part. So the primary and very important thing is that I wear clothes just for this purpose. Okay? So we need to go quickly from here.
Yeah.
Reflecting wisely, he uses the resting places only for protection from cold, for protection from heat, for protection from contact with gadflies and so forth. So you have a house, or you own a house or room just for the same purpose. It is very clear here in this, part of the world that you own a house just to protect yourself and your family from the cold weather, heat, waves, and mosquitoes and so forth. But do people stop here? No. Actually, in this part of the world, it's almost done. But in countries like Sri Lanka, India, I don't know about India, but building a house is a prestige. They spend their whole effort, the amount of saving, just to build a beautiful house, sometime better than the next door. I have seen that. We don't have that problem here because we cannot build our own house. Of course we can, but it takes a lot of money.
Same thing here.
Same thing here?
Oh, yeah.
Really? Oh, I would be wrong then. But people cannot create their own imagination, own plan for houses here, right? They have to buy from the bank.
No, you can.
You can?
Oh, you can buy the
But
land.
first you buy something and you renovate it.
No, you can buy
Not
the
necessarily.
land.
But a lot of people can do it because of their budget, right?
Yeah.
They have to. Yeah, it takes time and they have to take one. It is easy for people to buy a house which is ready-made. But in our countries, it's not like that. So, this is very clear that it's just like you go to hotel and stay overnight or couple of nights, a week or so, and you don't worry about the brick walls or hardwood or whatever. You use it just for sleeping, just for stay. And why can't we use our houses for that purpose? It doesn't mean that you don't take care of your house. You do. You look around and see whether the roof is damaged and the wall and everything. You should do that. It's your careful living. But you don't have that craving because you know the purpose of owning or having a house. At any point of your living, suppose the house is set on fire, or house is damaged by the flood or lightning, you don't worry about it because you did not make a attachment to it. You use it only for living. Yeah, that's how we create attachment, It's fine to think that this house I bought just for my children and I should protect. I don't see any problem with that idea. But you would be able to overcome suffering when it is gone before you hand it down to your children. Okay. Reflecting wisely, he uses the medical requisite only for protecting from arisen afflicting feelings and for the benefit of good health. So you see why we take medicine. So as a monk, as a nun, you cannot take vitamins and supplement just to beautify your body. And whenever you eat food, drink anything drinkable, and when you take medicine just for sensual pleasures, you are violating moral principles as a monk and nun. it's not the dangerous part. You develop defilement because you feel that you are here and self-view is there. You want to lift yourself as a person, but the very idea of becoming a monk or nun is to destroy that self-view. And it's relevant to you as well if you want to attain enlightenment. So,
Okay, but as a monk, is it wrong to have chocolate ice cream because you like chocolate ice cream?
If the monk is ordinary monk, I won't say that he could stop that. He would have, definitely you are still in a training period. But if you offer me ice cream, chocolate ice cream next day, don't bring it, okay? I'm giving you an example. I would accept it just because it's a dana, right? It's giving.
Okay.
If the chocolate ice cream is coming at the right time, I take lunch or breakfast, I would accept it. If you come with a cappuccino or Tim Horton, even at this time, I would accept it. If I need a
But you
drink.
accept because it's dana or because you enjoy it?
No, if I take because I enjoyed it, of course I will drink it. But I lack of training part there. I missed the things I should be there according to the Dhamma and Vinaya. Because I at the very moment I create I have developed some sort of defilements.
Just liking is a defilement? Just feeling?
You know, when we use these terms, we should be careful, you know. Yeah, you know, likeness, as I understand, could lead into craving and greed part. But likeness could not only be in that level. You know, I like to make you happy. I like to accept it now and use it later. So there may be some variations with the word likeness too, right? It could be I like because it is healthy. I like because it is quite enough for my food. So depending on context, we could use likeness.
If you say you're expecting Costa to bring it the next day, then that is the craving.
Right.
Yeah. We could say that. Yeah, that's true.
And if you miss Costa the next day, that's a craving.
Then it's in trouble.
Yeah.
So basically, we use the 4 requisites, especially for monks and nuns, just for survival. Just for survival. There is no iota of opportunity for monks and nuns to use any of these things just to show up, just to create any negative moment, negative thing. This is just only for survival. Why do I survive? Why do I need to survive? Just because I have to do more in the training. And I take this food, I wear this robe, I use this bed, I use this cloth, and so on, just to complete my training, which is incomplete yet. So that's how we should think.
But if you're having a meal and you have a choice of, let's say, the usual potlucks where you have a choice of 10 different things.
Yeah.
Of the 10, you're going to choose the 5 that you like the best, I presume.
No.
Is there a danger that by choosing the 5 that you like the best, that you develop craving or attachment? Or is just a normal thing that, okay, I take the broccoli because I like broccoli, but I don't take tomatoes because I don't like tomatoes?
It depends on the person. You know, suppose if I have a problem when I eat broccoli.
No, of course, yeah, no. Just
Yeah.
for a matter of taste.
Yeah, matter. Oh, yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah.
You have 10 vegetables, you choose the broccoli because you like them, and you leave the tomatoes behind because you don't like tomatoes. Is it that simple, or can it be more complicated and say, well, if I always go for the broccoli, I'm now satisfying my taste pleasure because I always go for the broccoli to satisfy my senses? Is that how it works?
It could be, you know, if there is a I will say, I will answer to that question, not only one question, so many questions are there. In this way, if there is any desire, again this word desire would be, would have many meanings.
Right.
And depending on context, we have to understand. If I have craving there, if I have craving for the taste of broccoli or whatever, that is wrong according to Vinaya. That is wrong according to Dhamma. But if I have some intentions to eat broccoli because it is good for health, it is good for such purposes, it is not only a food, but it also a medicine.
Right. Okay.
Right? Suppose, there are 10 curries with rice on the table, and I would take the rice and 5 curries. So those who look at me think that I have a desire, craving for 5 of 10 curries, and so on. But it is me who knows what exactly good for my digestion. And it is me who knows which is not good for my bowel and so forth. So people can have such selections depending on the health reasons, but if I select 5 curries depending on taste,
On taste only.
it
Yes.
is wrong.
It is wrong?
Yeah. It is not wrong according to mundane sense and social level and so on, but it is it's a lack of training.
Okay.
According to the Dhamma, because you have you have a sense of greed for different tastes, different colors, and so forth.
But can you prefer a taste without the greed attached to it?
Complicated.
Complicated.
Complicated,
I don't think so.
When we say I prefer,
Yes.
when I say I prefer, from my understanding, craving and greed comes. But I don't know how you understand when I say I prefer. But we could have, I prefer this because it is good for my health. It is good for my stomach ache. So I could have that preference as
Right.
well.
No, that
as
I
taste.
understand.
Not the
Yeah,
taste.
the language makes a huge
Yeah.
problem sometimes.
Not
So,
only that, I guess it's the future.
yeah.
If I am now missing what I had before, so I think it's what you eat, what you have, what you prefer, it's no big deal, right? But now if I am looking for that again tomorrow, then I am craving. That's the way I like to look at it, so if I am now sitting there and lamenting and saying I don't have chocolate cake, and I had it yesterday, I eat chocolate cake without thinking about it.
No, but if we are cooking and if I have a tendency to make the same dish more often because I prefer it, is
But
there
that's
a risk?
okay, I think. I think
Yeah,
that's
because this is a very, very strong and deep training.
Yeah.
And this training would not be a training for lay people, people in general. Even some monks may not be following exactly as it is, but they somehow manage to escape from suffering. Only an arahant or third level of enlightenment, second, those people could do this. But we can try for this. We may be failing of applying these things exactly as the discourse mentioned. But sometime we could apply that. As you said also, if I do not take this today or tomorrow, my doctor will predict that you will have this problem. So again, you like to be away from diseases, which is okay in our life. We should be. We are not enlightened yet, right?
No, but I'm focusing only on the taste.
Okay.
On the taste issue. So if I'm making a meal today, and I have to decide what I'm gonna cook for supper, is it a good training to make the meal that I don't like, just so that I don't?
Then if you're on a diet,
No, no, no. Okay, let's focus only on
Taste.
No, I
No,
know.
only
in
on
my
the taste thing.
my simple and
Yeah.
of course simple and very you know direct answer is that if we bring the taste into in selecting food, according to Dhamma,
It's no good.
it's not good.
Yeah.
Because you do everything just because of the taste.
It's a craving.
It's a
Craving.
craving.
But what you have explained, that is your ultimate goal, I mean.
Yeah,
That's-
bound
not
bound
every
everything with the
day-
ultimate goal.
Yeah, every day you might not be able to perfect all those things, but that is the intention, ultimate, that's what we have to do, I mean. We have to get rid of the greed. So we might not be able to do it, I mean, we might be able to do it when you take one or two things, because it happen to be, you don't like it also, so it is easy to get rid of those ones, but if other thing, what you like, ultimately, I mean, not today
Well,
or,
but if I have a choice of 3 curries that I'm cooking tonight,
yeah,
and I choose to make the curry that I like, am I favoring the developing of the craving? That's the question.
I think so.
Do I see it
Could-
if I,
could-
if I
Yeah,
Could-
but I don't think
yeah.
anything wrong that you are, because we are lay people, but if, that's what that's how I think. There is nothing wrong, what I prefer, I cook, but if my ultimate goal is to reduce the cravings and the greediness and all that, then I should be able to,
to cook what you don't like?
yeah, let him cook.
Let him cook, exactly.
Then I'll go somewhere and bring the food.
I also think it's not about what you don't like, what you like. You eat what is there and you consume
Yeah.
it at the end of the day for a purpose of survival. Yes, you can say then that is a sacrifice,
Yeah.
right? But sacrifice is also done with an attachment for an outcome.
Yeah,
And so
Yeah.
you say, okay, I'm gonna today cook something that I don't like, but you also attach to an outcome.
and you might, and
There's an
another thing
expectation.
is, you might be doing something worse in another thing, I mean. This is just a vegetable, I mean, right? You might be doing something else. You might be having a glass of whiskey. Okay, so first get rid of the whiskey rather than the vegetable. If you look at it that way, right?
Yeah, you all said something beautiful, but I would go a little bit with the statement you made. Yeah, people like the outcome. We have so many expectations with the outcome. With that, we do things. Actions has always a we will say reaction, and I would say results, outcome, whatever. So when we do something, we of course create so many expectation, ideas, beautiful things about the outcome. Having created those outcome, we started doing things.
But attachment to a good outcome, it's chana, right? The word in the Pali for a good outcome, it's a chana.
Tanha?
Tanha. Yeah.
Yeah,
Chana.
upadana,
Tanha.
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 Yeah,
When you are attached to a good outcome, if you're attached to the idea of a good outcome, that's okay, right? It's a good attachment.
Yeah, I would say yes, because that's how we have to say it, by language. You would attach to good thing, which is fine. It means that you continue to do good things often, every day. At the end, you without too much trouble, you leave that attachment part of the good things
Without suffering.
without suffering.
Yeah.
Language is so poor to say these things, because what I say through language is not what you understand from the same words. So understand the poverty of the language in expressing all these emotions and understanding. Yeah, I would ask people to attach to meditation, I would ask people to
Yeah.
attach to donate, generosity,
Yeah.
giving dana, giving anything like that. I would say attached to to make love, positive way, you know, expect a beautiful moment with good people around, and it's fine, because those moments, those opportunities, no matter which word you use, do good things for you at the end. You may speak good words, you may speak profitable, fruitful things, and you may share good things. No matter which word we use, attachment or whatever, we should not make the language a barrier in expressing them. But at the end, what happened, you don't, as a result, as you said, worrying part should be away from. Anything you do, anything you say, anything you eat, and so on. So we have to check where we are and which line we stand, and so on, with the experience. People become upset when things go wrong. As long as things, go on the wish they have, they are untroubled, they are going, without any problem. But we can test ourselves when things go wrong.
There was a friend, they used to avoid eating any fish or meat or anything on a certain day of the week. And what they did was they put that money in a till. Okay, so, your greediness, maybe you can reduce that one. It is just a thought, but at least you gave up something, and maybe towards reducing your cravings. I don't know. That's what they did.
Interesting.
And then they
Suppose you are
they
hungry.
donated that money, at the end.
Suppose you are hungry, you start eating a full of plate of rice, curry, and whatever you like. And when you look at this way, and a bird, huge bird, swoop down and take the food. So earlier you were a bird-loving person, but with this incident, you are so angry, and innocent birds you see everywhere are enemies for you. What could you say there? What happened to you?
Suffering a loss.
Yes, yes. Of course, there is a physical suffering here,
Yeah.
which could lead to a mental suffering, because hunger is not tolerable. It's intolerable feelings, because hunger is killing people. You should find something to eat after that. But if you could do that, if you could find something else to eat, just innocent bird, and I could find something else immediately. But if the bird is not having this one, the bird never eats, or he would be in hunger throughout the day. So you make your mind to find something else without getting angry. So I would say that you were taking food not because of taste.
So that's getting rid of the ill will.
Ill will. You never let any unwholesomeness to arise by that incident, which is not lucky, which is unpleasant. But you were able to close the doors for defilements. And how about if suppose you wear the beautiful clothes you ever got, and you walked under a tree and birds poop on your beautiful clothes, and it's so disgusting. If you are angry and take stones and throw to birds, and you become so unhappy, of course you would be, because you were going to a special meeting and so on. We are human beings, right? But if you do not have anger for birds, and you would go and you would go to a washroom and clean as much as you can and explain to your people, this is what happened to me on the way, with smile face. I think you have sense restraint and you have all these things we discuss.
Yeah.
Suppose you are walking on the sidewalk and somebody who is rushing and all the muds, even if you get angry, what happened to you? Nothing happened. Could your anger rewind all the scenario back?
Yeah.
No, it happened. In my view, we should train ourselves into that level.
Well, that happened to me.
That
Yeah.
happened to you, right?
I was catching a skunk in my backyard. I had a live trap outside. In the morning before going to work, I went outside to see what animal was there and he sprayed me. So
Oh,
I went
boy.
to work with skunk spray and then I had to tell people, sorry, a skunk sprayed me this morning.
And
It's called karma.
3 days, 3 days ago, the city complete the new carpet.
Yeah.
Before that, there was a huge, line of kind of pit over there.
Oh.
So when the rains, all the cars split water towards the parking. Personally, I like that because it's testing our ability to endure that. You could not walk when the cars passing by. Someday I thought if I, stay near the road with a clean car on the rainy day, and if the car's going and
Splashes.
splashes mud. So what kind of thoughts I have? Because before couple of minutes, before 5 minutes, 10 minutes ago, I cleaned the car, taking so much my energy into it. So I prepared it, and so I could wash it again. Definitely, it would be a rainy day because water is there,
Right.
so it could wash itself. So the training is for such purposes in life. Otherwise, it's not only for listening and reading and forgetting them and do whatever our sensual desire decide. So this is how we should understand the defilement into this level. So I could not finish the discourse today because this is so deep and widespread. So let's take the rest of the sutta for the next discussion. Okay. So thank you very much for coming, and I hope this discussion is really important for our daily practice. One of the objectives I have having this discussion, this study class, is to provide you some opportunities to question the Dhamma and questions own feeling and sensation based on the Dhamma. That would provide us a kind of mirror for us to get into right track. We are in right track, but sometimes we waves depending on the level of craving. So I want myself and all of you to be strong in the training. That's my purpose. So thank you very much for coming and wish you enlightenment sooner than later. Sadhu,
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 sadhu.
sadhu.